Welcome to AutoSuccess Cyber Corner, the podcast for auto dealer cybersecurity. I'm Kyle Alexander, and this is episode 8, Cybersecurity Cleanup.
This podcast is brought to you by Proton Dealership IT. When your team is focused on selling and servicing vehicles, who is focused on keeping your systems secure? With a 24/7 365 operation, Proton can monitor, detect, and respond to potential network or cyber issues. Sleep easy knowing your dealership is covered.
Sean Patronis, Director of Information Security for Reynolds & Reynolds and CISO for Proton, joins me once again. Hey, Sean. Thanks for chatting with me today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Sean, I understand Proton had quite a cybersecurity cleanup just last year that included a 17-store dealer group. And this led your teams to save these accounts and recover some important information. First question for you, how did some of these cyber attacks happen?
Well, sometimes with cyber attacks, we don't always know what patient zero is, and we want to figure that out. It helps with the investigations and cleanup typically, but in some cases, we'll figure it out exactly how the threat actors got in and did damage and did harm. In some cases, we'll only get to here's how they spread and here's how we stop them. That particular incident, while we don't know explicitly, what was the very first vector of attack, we know it was done via email and doing a phishing campaign. So, and that's pretty common. That's a very common type of attack that we see all the time. And entices a user to click on a link, and then the link they click on typically has some malware payload that gets downloaded and executed, and then from there they get a foothold internally on the network, and then they pivot laterally to other endpoints on the network. So while we couldn't pinpoint the very first exact email and who it came from, it may have been multiple people at one time, which we've seen before. So it could be one person or 5 people that are the patient zero, so to speak. But yeah, that's how this cyber attack happened. And then it pivots into an event where they try to move laterally throughout the network and then find more passwords, get access to more desktops and servers and domain controllers, and then they choose a time to ransomware everything all at once. And so that's what happened with this particular group.
Gotcha. Yeah, it sounds like even with one phishing email, just spreads into a bunch of other problems for the dealer groups.
Absolutely.
So from your perspective, maybe why didn't these dealers notice these cybersecurity issues, and maybe what was their reaction to some of the clients that were departing after this cyber attack?
So, this group actually had some high quality, expensive tools that they purchased and, were kind of installed, but not configured or monitored. So while they had some really nice software to help protect from this type of thing, if nobody's responding to an alert or it's not configured in such a way to stop certain types of attacks, it doesn't matter. You can buy the most expensive door for your house in the world, but if you don't lock it, or if you leave it open, then bad things can happen. So it's common that people think, oh, I can just spend money and make the problem go away with buying this piece of software or something like that. So, as far as, clients departing, they're a business, they want to sell cars. So, they can't sell cars when their systems are inoperable. The vendor that they're using that might have sold them the software, maybe they didn't finish up, the dealership didn't finish up with configuring with them, and there was no response from the software vendor to come in and say, hey, you're not finished configuring this right. Who's responsible for your security program? Let's get you into a protected state, or let's escalate an alert that we could have seen. So, I guess in some cases there was just no communication from the vendors, from the client itself, to say, hey, you have a problem, and let's work together to fix it. So no partnership, I guess, is what we saw, and so then they came to us.
Gotcha. Let's kind of start transitioning into Proton's role in this. Let's talk a little bit about your involvement here with this cyber attack cleanup. Could you maybe describe how these again, large cleanups were initially identified, and then maybe talk a little bit about how the affected dealerships first reached out to you guys for assistance with cyber attack cleanup.
Yeah, so they, heard about Proton from others. We're pretty well known in the industry on the dealership side and doing cybersecurity and IT services. And we've helped quite a few dealerships recover. Most of those dealerships that we help recover from ransomware events aren't our customers to begin with. Actually, none of them, knock on wood, right? They're not. If they're our customers, typically they're not getting ransomware because we're helping them with their security programs. We're monitoring their endpoints and the data that's coming into their organization and help them stop things before they get out of hand. So generally, it's word of mouth or them knowing somebody that has been in a similar situation as they are currently in, and they say, well, I hope Proton helped us out to recover from this event, and it did a lot faster than the guy down the street that had a similar event where they relied solely on their cyber insurance company or something like that. So this particular one was just reputation, word of mouth, and we got a call to our president of the company, and he got us all geared up and spun up, and we set up an incident response team for them and helped them recover.
I think that perfectly transitions into my next question. Walk me through some of that incident response process that you guys implemented for these cleanups.
Sure. So we have playbooks for these types of events. Not every you think of it kind of like a football game or a basketball game or anything. You have a team, you have a playbook, and it's offense versus defense in some of these cases. And while you have a plan and you write out, we're going to do this play, the defense may do something different, and the play has to develop. Maybe, if you're a quarterback, that initial route that's open is not there, it's covered, and then your receiver pivots and goes a different direction and kind of has some post-play activity that gets a first down, scores a touchdown, however analogy you want to use here. So our playbooks are kind of written in such a way that we have these major phases of things that we go through with the customers and how we communicate with them. But not every single ransomware event that we help with is identical. They're all a little different, even though our general idea is the same. So think about it, our playbook as here's what we're going to go in, here's the main key things we're going to do, but the path to get there is unique for every dealership that we respond with. So to kind of give you an idea, we'll have a preparation meeting to kind of get the lay of the land, what's happening, what we think could have been the patient zero or the root cause. So there's some root cause analysis that's done very quickly. And then we'll get into, getting access to any tools they have, basically detecting attack vectors, looking for other signs of an incident and lateral movement. And then we'll go immediately into a containment, kind of get that initial information. And that maybe has us installing some software, our tools that we use for containment. And then once we believe we have things contained, and somewhat simultaneously, we start eradicating footholds that we may see that the bad guy may have. So in this instance that we've talked about, they have pivoted to multiple endpoints, maybe had some ransomware notes on machines. We're trying to contain those hosts, so find any indicators of compromise that we can help eradicate from hosts that may be in different phases of the attack. So maybe they don't get all the desktops at once or all the servers at once. They only have some of them. We're kind of making sure to kick the bad guys out before they can do any more harm. And once we have everything contained and eradicated with whatever indicators of compromise we know about, then we'll help them through a recovery process. So timelines for each one of those can vary. Sometimes it's a couple days of containment and eradication. Sometimes it's weeks. It just depends on how large the group is, how many endpoints we're talking about, what's the area of effect. And recovery varies as well. If every single host in the dealership is affected, then it's a lot longer of a recovery time than if it's just some servers that we're cleaning up or helping restore from backup, and then getting the business back functioning. So that recovery phase can look a little different depending on the scenario as well. In this scenario, we kind of help them clean up and set up a new network. So basically a clean slate, so to speak, and then start recovering known good backups and getting those desktops that were clean, ensuring they're clean, moved over to the new network. So we help them kind of build a new network all at once. That doesn't always happen, but we have all the skills and expertise to do that. And then after we've contained, eradicated, recovered, the endpoints and the dealership, they're back to business. And then we do some post-incident activity with them. So that's going to be our lessons learned, how we analyze the data that we collected throughout the incident. They're going to probably work with their cyber liability insurance companies to try to get some compensation because that's what they pay for insurance. This was a horrendous event that they need to recover from. Maybe they lost some sales. Depends on what their policies are. And throughout this time, we've worked with insurance companies to help them understand that we're getting them back up. And we'll probably deploy more services, right? So this problem doesn't happen again. So a lot of times, in this case, they had some quality tools, they just weren't tuned right or monitored right. We put in our monitoring and tuned our tools, and that's an ongoing thing. It's not just you tune it once and you're done. We're constantly developing new rules and detections, and we have a team that's just cybersecurity experts, and that's what we do. So usually that post-incident activity is converting them over to a customer to have regular meetings with us and talk about cybersecurity and how they can improve and prevent this from happening again.
Awesome. That was a fantastic in-depth look talking about incident response and even the recovery effort there too. It was nice to kind of see that whole playbook lay out from, basic, again, incident response to some of the, maybe if you want to call it the trick plays of the of the playbook, getting into some of that recovery there. That was fantastic, Sean. One more question for you here. Now that this has kind of all taken place, we're kind of at the end phase of it. The incident response has happened. The recovery has happened. How has this recovery effort benefited these dealerships involved since this cleanup happened?
Well, so this dealership's actually, like I said, in normal communication with us. Their IT teams, put a lot of faith in us and trust in us, and we become their advisors a lot of times. They have an in-house IT team, and I suppose we're that trusted partner. They're very security conscious company now. This is the only major event they've had, and it just happened to be a really bad one. IT teams, internal IT teams for dealerships, they're really good at running the IT business of the dealership, but they're not always the security experts. Though, everybody has security responsibility, whether you're an end user, making sure you don't click on that phishing email, or you're an IT team, making sure you install latest patches and stuff like that. They're kind of pulled in a lot of different directions, and sometimes they don't have the time to dig into the security details. And so they can use us as that sounding board, or, hey, they have some strange, thing happening. Can you check this out for us? And we'll dig in, or we'll bring something to them and say, hey, we saw this strange activity. This behavior indicates that something suspicious may be happening, but it could be an IT person just installing the latest update or something like that. And it set off some flags and alarms that we're just validating. So I would say, how's it benefited them? They can sleep better at night, I guess is one way that could benefit them. And they trust us to help them with their security. And they can focus more on the IT things they're doing, the business that they're running, and be less concerned about security. Everybody should still be concerned, but now they understand that they know somebody's watching 24/7, 365 days a year. So
awesome. That was some, again, great insight there, Sean. Thank you again for joining me.
Hey, thank you for having me.